You should. Where's your picture, Justin? You're supposed to be there.
I don't know. It's been a long week.
Oh, come on. Well, I'm gonna not be up there while you're doing your thing.
The content is what is important anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, so good evening, everybody. Today's going to be a little bit different. We're doing a three-part, or I should say a three-person talk. So Landi is going to be taking one section, Pat Harrison will be taking another section, and I'm going to start by opening with getting started online. The overarching theme of tonight's talk is going to be getting you and your products online with your own website and marketing them through social media, which is critical during these very interesting COVID times. So let's get started. Getting started online. So the first thing, before you ever even get online, that you need to figure out is your brand identity. I do private consults with individuals that are looking to market themselves, and this is where a lot of people struggle. So the first thing that you need to figure out is, who are you? What are your values? What makes you different from other companies? And why should people spend money on your products? We all work for a living. We all put our blood, sweat, and tears into our money. Why should someone fork over money to you? And then, is your brand meaningful? Does your name have any significance? Is your labeling consistent? Are you projecting confidence? These all sound like open-ended questions because they are what you make of them. You really need to develop an identity and a brand that you stand behind and that you can be confident in marketing and confident in backing. You cannot market a product if you don't know who you are. This is like the number one thing. You could have the most ramshackle setup in history, but if you believed in your product and if you work with integrity, people will see that, and it doesn't matter. So that's going to be the first thing before you even get online. The next thing is going to be, here's an example. This is my brand, Galactic Gold. So my values are quality ingredients and packaging. So I will spend extra money to have glass jars and to have labels that are UV resistant and waterproof. I'll spend a lot of time giving a care to the detail of the label, detail of the website, whole nine. I really want anybody who's purchasing my products to feel like I put serious time and effort into these products. Responsive customer service. A really, really big one. I cannot stress this enough. If you have a phone number that is readily available either on your website or... Oh, hey, Pat. Pat just joined.
Good. Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. I think Joe just joined.
Yes,
right, cool.
Joe did. Yeah, we can hear you fine, Pat.
All right, so we'll see. Cool. Okay. Thank you.
Perfect. Listen, I might mute you, Pat. If there's any background noise, you can just unmute yourself with the little microphone icon at the bottom.
Okay.
So responsive customer service. My number for years was the only result that would come up if you search beekeeping in my area, and I would literally get a call a day from someone. And it wasn't always related to my products. It might just be someone that was calling and, 911, I have bees, i.e. I have wasps. But that attention to the customer and that quick response resulted in a lot of unexpected sales, because then I'd pick up the phone, be very nice, and maybe they weren't expecting to purchase honey, and now they happen to be holding a bottle. So responsive customer service is really key to developing a good image for yourself and to satisfying your customer. Fast shipping is really easy to accomplish. Landi goes into this. I always use the post office. If you're shipping within your tri-state area, most of the time it gets there like the next day. So it is, hey Jim, thank you. So fast shipping is something that you might underestimate at first, but I've had people contact me expecting, a mom and pop to be really slow to respond. And the fast response to their inquiry and then the fast delivery of their product makes them feel like they're getting a high quality experience. On top of this, everything is branded with a cohesive image. So the reason I have the name Galactic Gold is my last name is Luna, so Galactic space, Gold, honey. Very basic. It makes sense. It's easy for people to remember. It's easy for me to remember. And my labeling is consistent. It's unique. It's concise. These labels, I zoomed in. What are my options? There we go. So these labels I made. They're custom. They're my design, and they are unique. They're not insanely complicated. These flowers and these bees are not, the prettiest thing in the world. But if I'm sitting on a shelf, it separates me from everyone else. It's a very straightforward design. I put it onto a nice container, and that speaks volumes. The customer does not want to be confused when looking at your product. You always want to make sure that, like I said, what you are projecting is clear and that you are confident in this product. Here's some images that I took in my bee house on a piece of brown paper with my cell phone camera. It does not cost a lot of money to make something look pretty. And it does not cost a lot of money to make something that looks professional. Getting your brand online. So now you've established this identity. You have an understanding of what your core values are. You have an understanding of your products. You have a cohesive design that makes you look professional. You need to bring that all online. The first thing that you're going to need is what's called a domain. I'm going to be using some more technical terms here, so if I lose anybody, please interrupt me, message in the chat. I'm more than happy to address it. So the first thing you need is a domain. What is a domain? A domain is your actual website name. So google.com is a domain. Our website, ecbs.njbeekeepers.org, I believe, is a domain. This has to be purchased usually separate from your actual site. There's two components here, your site and then your domain. So you have to figure out what you want the name of your site to be. And we'll cover that in just a second. Then you need a hosting company, which is going to be a company that maintains your site. If you have the technical know-how, you can bypass this cost and take care of it yourself. But if you have those abilities, you don't need this slide. So you're going to need some kind of company to maintain this site for you. I will tell you that 9 times out of 10, you get what you pay for. And there are definitely cheap options, and they are definitely cheap. So it's really important to make sure that you understand what you want from your site. A lot of what I'm going to be discussing tonight concerns Squarespace. And the reason is I have a lot of experience in it. I find it very easy to manage. I find it extremely easy to pass on to the client if I'm making a website for them. And I don't have to maintain anything. It's all handled by a third party, nice and easy. Nobody wants to go into IT to sell their bee supplies. And then a web store. Landi is going to be discussing working inside of a web store. Believe it or not, there's a lot of hosting companies that'll also host your web store for you, so that you've got a one-stop shop. Squarespace is one of those companies. My company, Galactic Gold, I use all the same platforms. So my web store, my host, and my domain is all taken care of by Squarespace. What an easy life. Then you're going to need some kind of logo or tagline. Most people will come up with their brand, but then the logo and then some kind of little, like I said, tagline usually comes at the end. But that's important for your online identity, because you're going to need something that's concise to tell people who you are, and a logo is the first visual aid that someone has as to who you are and what you do, and the tagline is an easy, an easy little phrase that they can use to remember what you represent. So, for instance, my tagline is "Be well." Super easy. Everybody loves it because it's a little play on words and it's dead simple. High resolution images. This is an optional. Maybe you don't have access to them. Maybe you want to reach out to someone else like myself for assistance with this. But I cannot stress how much a website can benefit from high resolution images. Everybody loves a pretty site, and you cannot accomplish that with high resolution images. And the final part is the Google Maps listing, which is also optional. I strongly suggest anybody, even if you don't make a website, should have a Google Maps listing. Google Maps listing is free. You do not need a website attached to it, and it can be a phenomenal way to advertise. Adriana said, you definitely don't want high def images, kills your SEO. Adriana, it depends on which search engine you're talking about. Depending on how you use your images, they can, yes, so when it comes to Google, it's depending on how you have the images in your site and where they're hosted by, high definition images don't always matter. Reputable hosting providers can make a big difference in your SEO. If someone sees that an SEO stands for search engine optimization, essentially what it means is how search engines prioritize which site appears in the listing when you Google something like local honey or beekeepers. And that is definitely something to be aware of, but I'm not going to get into depth with that because it's a very long, drawn topic. Domains. Here are some common registrars. Someone who sells you a domain is called a domain registrar. There's Namecheap, there's Network Solutions, there's GoDaddy, there's Google Domains, there's Bluehost, and there's HostGator, just to name a few. And I just threw up an example. A lot of people don't realize, but .com is just a type of domain. There are others too. There's .house, .net, .dev, .org. In my example here, a domain that is available for purchase is thehoneyhouse.buzz. $33 a year. Namecheap happens to be my favorite. I have a lot of experience with them. At work, we have over 100 domains with them, and they are very easy to work with. Adriana said, your images should be in kilobytes, not megabytes. Kilobytes is just a smaller denomination of bytes. There is no difference. They're just a measurement of storage. Website host. Who's going to be hosting your site? Here are a few. Squarespace, Google, WordPress, Wix, GoDaddy, Weebly. I'm not too big a fan of Wix. I find a lot of their templates that they offer to make your life easy can sometimes result in a more tacky appearance. Weebly, along the same lines. WordPress can be a little bit more difficult to work with for certain people. Google and GoDaddy tend to be pretty easy. And obviously, my preference, like I said at the beginning, is going to be Squarespace. I like Squarespace. Oh, Adriana said she uses Shopify. Yep, that's definitely one option, one route to go. Part of the reason why I like Squarespace is they have customer support. And for a lot of people that are taking on the adventure of a new website for the first time, customer support can be really helpful. I'm going to give you a little demo quickly. I'm actually going to bring up Landi's website, and we're going to look through some of the options, how you can interact with this website. Now, like I said, this is going to be Squarespace specific, but a lot of these website builders in the last few years have become very basic, and that can make it pretty easy to work with and to make changes. So let me share my screen. Everyone can see this?
Yeah.
Great. Okay.
Looks very familiar.
Yeah. So what you're looking at is the administrative panel of Landi's website. So the difference here is that we're logged in as a Squarespace account. It's allowed to make changes. So you can see that we have all of these new options over here on the left. I will tell you, if you're familiar with building websites, a lot of these options and a lot of this interface is pretty similar. You can see on Landi's website, she has some beautiful pictures. That makes it very pleasing for people when they click on the site. It's the first thing they see. Happy day. An advantage of using a platform that offers more features than you might use at first is that you can purchase them later on. You'll see that there's a commerce tab here. Landi has chosen to use a third party to handle her store, and that is also another avenue. But Squarespace offers that ability. So if you wanted to stick within one ecosystem, they can do that. Some platforms will also offer you analytics. And here's Landi's analytics. So let's look at what's happening. So she had 525 visits this month, 466 were unique, and 942 page views.
Oh, wow.
Why is this important? Part of search engine optimization, or SEO, is looking at these statistics and saying, what can I do to make my website more appealing not only to search engines, but to people that visit it. So we can scroll down here and we can see, okay, most people are browsing Landi's website from a mobile device. Most people find her site through Google. However, 214 have visited her site directly. Eileen said the audio is choppy. Is anyone else hearing choppy audio?
Pat said he was also.
Ah,
That was in the very beginning, and now you're good. And I know my Wi-Fi is the worst. That's definitely on this whole thing. So
yeah, sharing out the screen sometimes can be a little bit more Wi-Fi intensive.
Gene says it's getting better, so that's good.
It's getting better because the image is now static. Once I start to move around again, and it's going to have to, it's fine. I'll keep this brief. So you can see that most of Landi's visits are coming from Google, which is great. That already tells her that as a platform, she's getting a lot of traffic from Google. So if she was interested in optimization, she could pay Google to promote her site. She could try to tailor it more to Google's algorithm. And there's some other statistics here that might not be as interesting, but you can see. So most users are iOS users. Actually, a good portion of them are. And most of them are using Safari, what a surprise. You can also see geographically, so where are these users coming from, and you can even look down within the country. So most of Landi's users, wow, what a surprise! They're from New Jersey. But you can see she's got a fair amount from New York. Got 56 people that came from New York. So all of this data is only as useful as you make it, and some people don't. Yes.
You know, I've never actually looked at these pages.
I know. I was about to say, some people don't bother at all, and that is fine. Frankly, for my own site, I look at the analytics once a year and I go, neat, look at those lines, and that's it. But these are options that are afforded to you by some of these platforms. All of the content that you post on here, you have the ability to see, like Adriana said, she loves data, and some people do. And some people want to look at that and optimize to the nth degree, and you know what? Go for it. Like, why not? Could not hurt. All of these pages, too, have SEO options that you can set per page. You can see right here under the SEO tab. Why is this important? The way that a search engine works is a company like Google has a bunch of automated pieces of software that crawl the internet and look for content. And then when you type in what you're looking for, such as local honey, it compares that content, it looks at who's hosting it, how many people go there, if the person who's hosting it is reputable, and it factors all these different pieces in and then spits back results. On top of that, which some people may not be aware of, there are paid results that you can get back. You look at the top of all your Google results, you'll usually see 3 or 4 that say ad next to them. You can pay Google to prioritize your website for your area, and it is pretty inexpensive. If you're really looking to get out there quickly, that's something that you can do. This is another option. So specifically for this page, you could add certain keywords that you would hope someone would look for and could push your result for this page up higher. Okay, back to the slides. Your Google Maps listing. Finally. Oh, wow, looks like most of that picture got cut off. Well, whatever. The Google Maps listing. This is hands down the cheapest, because it's free, and easiest way to get your name out there. Love it or hate it, Google is the most used search engine, and for most people, it is the most used navigation tool, which means that 9 times out of 10, if someone is looking for honey, or if someone is looking for a product that you might sell, they're going to do it through Google. To make a listing, all you have to do is register your business with Google. It's a free process. And once you've done that, so I believe they called Landi. Landi, did they call you or mail you a letter?
Neither. They emailed me.
Did they? Okay.
Oh, maybe they called me. I don't remember. It's been a long time.
It's been a while. Well, in any event, when I registered my business, they called me as a verification. Once you're a verified business, you can do a lot. Landi has up here her hours, directions. Anyone with a mobile device now that searches Goose Rock Farm or local honey in her area can just click directions, and they are now en route to her house. Photos. She's got some nice, pretty pictures up there. People don't even have to go to her site. She doesn't even have to have... What?
Did extremely pretty photos. Look at that guy.
So this is quality beekeeping here.
Look at that arm. Look at those calves.
So people don't even have to go to her site. If Landi didn't want to host a site, fine. But this, at the bare minimum, puts you on the map, literally. And reviews. Landi has accrued, in like the last year and a half, I'd say, 33 reviews. She has 4.8 stars. If you are looking for a place to purchase a product and you see someone with that many reviews at 4.8 stars, it doesn't matter. You're going there. You're going to go buy her stuff. And to add on top of that, she has her contact info right there. You can click and call her phone number, and she has her website. All of this can be done for free. If you want to pay, you can even then throw some money in the pot, and they will make sure that people who are looking for honey, beekeeping services, that kind of thing, will see your Google Maps result first. This is what I recommend to everyone at a bare minimum. It makes life easy, and it makes finding you and finding your products significantly easier. Questions?
Is Lynn with us? I like her picture.
I don't know. I asked her if I could use it. She didn't answer me, and I was like, okay, Lynn, yes. You're going in.
Oh.
I love that picture.
Every time I get a new review, Justin,
yeah,
Google emails me.
Mm-hmm.
And they're emailing me all the time. It's actually kind of cool. And a lot of people do find the farm via Google. So thank you for setting that up for me. Justin is the one who set up Google Maps and designed or redesigned my website. And the only reason that my web store isn't also on Squarespace is because I already had a web store when he redesigned my main website. and it would have been a real hassle to change the hosting server.
I should probably throw that out there. This is so for a living, I work in a data center, and I work in IT. So this is also what I do on the side, is helping individuals market themselves, develop a website, all of those types of optimizations and that type of work.
And you did a great job, by the way. I really like the new website. It's so much better than what it was.
Well, thank you. But yeah, like I said, Google's a great way. Yeah, Adriana said you can respond to reviews. Eileen, how do we get a consult with you, Justin? You can just email me, and I'll be happy to discuss with you and figure out what your needs are and what works. I will put. Do I have to share my screen now too?
Yeah, you do.
Yes.
I actually
Everybody
have a
wants to see you.
Yeah.
So I have a couple different stores that carry my honey. Nobody comes to my home the way that they come to Landi's Honey House. Could I have the Dumont Hardware Store, Healthwade Food Store, Stokes Farm, and Morgan Farms, and the different locations that carry my honey as a location in Google?
So typically what you would do for a situation like that, because you can't, those stores are already registered on Google Maps, so you can't claim that area as yours now.
Mhm.
What you can do, though, is you can specify an area of service. So you can say, within 50 miles of this point, you can purchase my honey. You can purchase my products, which is what I have set up. So my home address is not actually publicly accessible. But if you happen to be within about, I think it's like 100 miles of my house, my result will show up.
Cool. Right.
I'll also say you can add on to their description, and you can add in additional content. So if you wanted to mention that, that's one thing that you could do.
Yeah, that sounds good. I've also seen so Fat Tire, the beer company, they have a map on their website.
Mhm.
So you type in your zip code, and you can find the places near you that carry Fat Tire and the other brand, Voodoo Ranger, that that beer company makes. And so then I was like, oh, sweet, the beer, the liquor store down the street from me carries it. I can go there now. Is that something that you would be able to put into a website kind of thing? That would be extremely beneficial for me. It's like, find Harvey Honey near you. You type in,
It's funny you asked that, because that's actually something I looked into a while back. Believe it or not, getting that type of functionality for that specific feature is a real pain. It's something, if you were interested in it, it's something that I would revisit and see if maybe there was an easier solution that's come along. Google Maps used to allow you to do it, and they ended support for it, I believe, 2 years ago, which kind of killed that.
Understandable. Yeah, New Belgium is a couple $1 million beer company. I don't know if I can afford whatever they're kind of they're
Right.
pushing.
So, like, if you were a client at the company where I work, we would just make that whole we would just code that entire portion as a custom plugin. Obviously, that's money.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm flexing on custom codes.
It might be a plugin in WordPress. I know you have a WordPress site.
I do.
So
Hey,
that would be
guys.
something. Yeah.
We have to keep moving.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes, we do. I will hand over the presenter to you, Landi.
Okay.
Go ahead. It's all yours.
Go disappear.
Okay, so I can go to the slides. All right. So Justin talked about setting up, and one of you guys, Justin, can you please just monitor the questions and comments on the left for me, because I'm
Got it.
not good enough to do that and talk at the same time.
Anytime.
It's like the walking and chewing gum thing. So Justin talked about setting up a website and a web store, and I'm going to talk a little bit about how you manage your web store once you have it. And after I talk, Pat is going to talk about promoting the web store in ways other than Google. I think Google is amazing. It's probably, everybody can do that, but you can do stuff with social media too. So what's next? You're going to set up your store with the products. Justin emphasized the branding, clear, and that it should be personal and unique. And I think that that's very important. Pictures are really important. It should look very attractive, and it should be consistent. You should have a consistent color palette, for instance, and your descriptions of your products should be very simple and appealing and but complete. So all of those things are important. How you set that stuff up really matters to people's shopping experience. And before I forget to mention it, Justin was talking about customer service. That's critical. So I think I have a lot of repeat customers who just keep coming back. I have customers that I've had for literally years that I've been shipping them honey for, a really long time. And they come back because they get first-rate service. I try very hard when I get an order online to ship it out the following day or 2 days later at the latest. And if I can ship it the same day, I will. I obviously, like, we're not Amazon. I can't like put in an order, get an order in the morning and have it at the customer's doorstep that afternoon. But I do the best I can, and it often surprises my customers how quickly I can get their order to them. Frequently, it's the next day or the day after that. U.S. Postal Service priority mail is fast and very efficient. So, so when you're setting up your web store, how you set it up specifically is specific to the particular hosting software that you're using. Whether my web store is through Volusion, and so you just kind of have to follow the directions that they give you. Most web stores have their own payment portal, a secure payment portal for processing the credit and debit card information of your customers. Some of them you can actually choose, or go to your bank, some outside server. But, that's more complicated. It's simpler if it comes with the web store. So here we are back to my, main website, which Justin did design for me. But my website and web store are separate. So people go to the website and clicking on store right up here brings them to the Volusion web store. So as soon as you get on the Volusion web store, there's this nice feature where these photographs scroll on the home page. So, it goes, gee, I thought I had more photographs than that. But there's like half a dozen or so photographs that just keep scrolling at the top of the home page. And it's, it's nice. It gives people something to look at while they are, looking up here at the main menu to see what it is that they want to buy. This is the page that they get if they click on gift items. So I've got this, kind of cool picture of the Muth jars with some raffia bows on them. And underneath that, we have baby bear gift sets, and I can't even see what that is, but all the little items that people often purchase as gifts. This is the combs and spreads page. So I put it on my kitchen counter with some mangoes and, set up the different flavors of honey spreads that we have. And, I've got this nice comb honey down here. So I'm not a great photographer, but I made an effort and I did all of these photos myself, and I made an effort to really set them up so that they look pretty. I'm not a great photographer, but I'm pretty good at making things look nice. So I make them look nice and then take a very amateurish photo.
Landi, I'm gonna chime in because you are getting questions.
I'm getting questions. Okay.
You have a lot of questions.
Well,
so
ask them.
The first one is, what type of packaging would you use to ship a 1 pound glass jar? And what is the cost to ship?
Okay.
How much additional cost does the packaging add to the overall cost to the consumer?
Okay. I'm going to cover all of that.
Okay. You have another one, which is, where are the labels for the gift jars?
Where are the labels for the gift jars? Ha ha ha! Somebody caught that. Very clever. Was that Megan?
No, it was
Who asked that question?
It was Eileen Highland.
Eileen. Okay, Eileen asked a very pointed question because legally I am required to put a label on these jars. Now, I actually have a label, Eileen. It's a little tag that I can tie on to the jars, okay, with the raffia bow. And it's about the size of a business card, and that folds in half and has a little 3-hole punch. But I don't have it on this photo because it takes away from the appearance. And if I'm doing like I don't always use it, but customers can get that tag, that label tag, as an option. I have thought about making a little itty bitty tiny label to put on the bottom of this jar, but I haven't done it yet. So
it was always present at your farmers markets next to those moose jars.
Yeah,
it was always next to the moose jars. If the person wasn't a repeat customer, they got the label handed to them in their hand. But
okay.
you keep the government out of it.
It's like the one jar that I carry that I don't always put a label on.
And Vin asked, where do you purchase the labels you use?
Okay, my labels are all custom made. And I have to go back here. Okay, I wish, okay, I'm having trouble. Oh God, Justin, help. I'm messing this up. Okay. I would love to bring this up, but this picture down here is like half of my label. And it's, if you go on my website, gooserockfarm.com, okay, you can see the whole label. This is a watercolor painting that I commissioned probably more than 15 years ago. And one of our own NJBA members, Eileen, oh my God, what's her last name? She's down in Jackson. She paints these beautiful wildlife paintings. And I saw her work and said, oh my God, that's gorgeous. Can you create a label for me? And I had something very specific in mind because I do have, okay, Justin, how do I get back to where I was before on this? I'm trying to make it go out. And I'm not.
No, go ahead and try. I had to take over for moving around the screen.
Okay, I want to go back to. Okay, that's better. Okay. Okay. All right.
No, Vin asked, who does the printing for you?
Planet Label. And in fact, I just got a whole bunch of labels printed again. I probably have close to 20 different labels. No, more than that. I have a lot of different products. There's 8 different kinds of soap. I've got lid labels for each of the varietal honeys. There's, you know, bears and 2 pounds and 1 pounds and artisan spread labels. So there's all baby bears, comb honey, chunk honey, lots of different labels. And they're all professionally made. To me, the way it looks, the appearance is very, very, very important. But just to walk you through what happens, customer places an order. Okay, so here's the typical order page. This person is about to order some mistletoe soap. And once they, have filled their shopping cart, my website will take them to PayPal, which is a secure payment portal. They don't have to have a PayPal account, but they can use their credit or debit card. So they've placed an order, and this is your administrator page, okay, where you will process that order. So you, as the owner of the web store, log in and get to this page. Okay, each of these things here, I guess this is part of the analytics, orders that have been placed over the past, I don't know, few days or week. And this is, what I use mostly is process orders. There's all kinds of other stuff that you can do here on this page. You can add products, you can change stock status, you can, upload photos, you can do all sorts of things, but mostly you're going to process orders. And that's the meat and potatoes of it. And I'm going to show you how to do that. And we'll talk about all the shipping. Which when I started doing this was very confusing to me. I could not figure out, like, how do you do the shipping? But I'm going to tell you, it actually does work, and it's not so horrible. So in order to provide an example, I placed an order on my own website. I had a couple of orders on there already, but it occurred to me I would be violating my customers' privacy if I used one of their orders as an example. So, since you guys all know me and who I am and where I live and everything, I figured I would just do my own order. And then when I was done making the PowerPoint, I canceled it and refunded my money. So I thought that was kind of funny. But what did I order? I ordered a 1 pound jar of honey. I think I ordered some soap, and I can't read. What's that other thing that I ordered?
Hand cream.
Hand cream, a jar of hand cream. So, and the total is what, about $34? $33.99. Okay, so the first thing that you do here is you're going to print a packing slip. Oh boy, here we go again. I don't know what I do with this, but I do something funky. So here's the packing slip, and you print that out so that you know what it is that you have to pull. And this is going to go right in the box with the order, and any notes, that you need to tell the customer will go on this packing slip. Now, after I print out the packing slip, on the back of it, in like small print, I will write down the amount that the website has charged for shipping. The website itself calculates the shipping, and it calculates it based on weights that you enter for each of your products. So I will weigh the 1 pound jar of honey with, in the jar, with the jar, the lid, the label, everything, and record that weight in the product information of the website. And then usually you're able to add like a certain percentage for the packaging. So I might increase that by 10% or 15%. You tell the website what you want to add for the packaging. And it's not always exact, but it evens out in the long run, and it's what the website charges for shipping is almost never less than what I pay for shipping. So it covers the cost of the shipping and a little bit more, which helps with the shipping materials. And I'll tell you specifically actual numbers in a little bit. We
You
printed
might
out.
want to zoom back out,
We
Landy.
got questions?
You might want to zoom back out.
I don't know how to do it. That's my problem. Did I do it?
I just did it.
Okay. Am I zoomed? Yeah. All right. My this laptop is still kind of new, and I'm don't have control of all that stuff yet.
Eileen asked to see the whole slide. Here's the whole slide, Eileen.
Okay. I can't. I lost my things to
Yep.
go to the next. Okay. So there. Thank you. Okay. So now we're going to get everything ready to ship. I've got my scale over here. There's my hand cream, my honey, and my soap. I wrap the soap up in a paper towel because that keeps it dry and it keeps it clean. All of my honey is in glass jars. So from long, hard experience, the best way to ship glass is to wrap it up in bubble wrap and put it in packing peanuts, styrofoam packing peanuts. I hate the use of all of the plastic, but if you don't put that glass jar in bubble wrap, it is going to break. You would be astonished at how these things get handled once they are out of your sight and in a postal service facility. We had Pat will tell you, right? We had this huge order when Pat was working for me a couple of years ago, right around this time of year. It was for, I think, 115 wooden crates of mousse jars. You know, each one worth about $20 or so. So it was a very large order. And they were getting shipped to all different places. So we spent probably a week putting this all together and packing all the boxes up. And I had all these boxes in my garage, and FedEx came to pick them up. And they were loading the FedEx driver was there loading these packages onto his truck. And it was taking a long time, right? I went inside, I was doing something else. I come back out to check on what he's doing, and he's literally throwing the packages on top of each other in his truck, throwing them. This is glass jars of honey. I'm usually a pretty calm person, but boy, I really flipped out. So, and guess what? None of them broke because they were all packaged this way, wrapped in bubble wrap and in styrofoam packing peanuts, just like this. This is half full. Okay, this is done. So, and the box that I use, I have a lot of empty honey boxes. So I'm going to say 90% of our orders go out in either a 1 pound or a 2 pound empty honey jar box.
We've got some more questions, Landy.
Okay, go ahead.
And I'll give them to you. And I'll also say that you have to buy peanuts and bubble wrap because of the number of orders you have.
I do.
And a lot of people can save on packaging by reusing Amazon boxes and the packaging that you get either in your own personal boxes and packages or even from your workplace. I've reused old packaging from my workplace. I don't do a lot of orders. I'm not Landy. And so for me, I can just reuse packaging. It's you don't get cheaper than free. Where do you buy your peanuts?
We actually recycle from the honey house. So people will bring packaging to the honey house and leave it there. That way it gets reused.
Yep. And if you tell people, if you tell your neighbors and your friends, hey, I can use these boxes, you'll be surprised how many boxes and how much packaging you'll end up with.
It's true.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. So I haven't started my web store yet, but just doing a little bit of reading and Joe Trimal's answer on or a question about environmentally friendly packing peanuts. there's an entire market out there that if you were to I shipped honey to my family members as a trial, and I found that shipping it in the squeeze bottle plastic jars takes away from the the luxury product that we have, Landi and I. But if it's for the purpose of reducing the amount of plastic, I can put 90% less plastic in the box by using a plastic jar. That doesn't affect the honey, but using less peanuts. And it's a different market. So like if you were to have 2 products on your store or 3 products on the store, a 1-pound glass jar, a 2-pound glass jar, and a 1-pound squeeze bottle plastic jar. And the squeeze bottle plastic jar is noted with we're only using this squeeze bottle plastic jar because it reduces the amount of plastic needed for shipping. Blah, 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 blah.
Mm-hmm.
You'll get kudos for that. And that's like a weird thing. It's like using more plastic jars is like a weird thing, but it does. It is like pound for pound less plastic. Yeah. That's what Harvey will go with.
This happen.
Well, yeah. And I'll add to that. Where your peanuts are manufactured can have a surprising impact. A lot of the plastic peanuts are manufactured in China under different environmental regulations and then imported. And so something that's labeled as environmentally friendly could have been manufactured in a different country with different regulations that are not up to US spec. So purchasing products, packaging products that have been made in the USA will allow you to be confident in how they were manufactured. And
Justin,
I've actually
help.
What? What's wrong?
I zoomed in again and I can't zoom out.
No, you didn't. You're doing fine.
No, zoom me out. I can't.
You're zoomed out.
So for reference for people of what I was talking about, I just put into the chat the package free shop. It's this whole store with the mission statement is to become plastic free. Even the candles that I use, I wasn't allowed to get into that store because I put my label on with a 1-inch piece of Scotch tape. So they're so anti-plastic that little piece of Scotch tape wasn't allowed to be into the store. They're a successful business, so just the market is out there. Just to, I don't know.
And what Adriana said, you can use paper, but it will be heavier to ship. 100%.
It also does not protect glass.
Yeah. Oh,
I mean, it's fine for things like the hand cream or a soap, but it doesn't. You cannot. If you package your glass honey jar in paper, it will break. I guarantee it.
Smash. Yep.
You can buy cornstarch packing peanuts, but they are way more expensive than the styrofoam peanuts. So the cost of shipping will go way up. They're not as effective, and if they get wet, like they'll even absorb moisture from the air, humidity. Then they don't work as well, and they can kind of clump together and get sort of nasty. I'm thinking about going to those anyway. I'm going to at least look into it more and experiment with it.
It's funny you say that about paper, Landi. And Pat, I always package with paper. I have never had a bottle break. Now I'll tell you this though. The jar is always in the center of the box or the packaging, and there is a significant amount of paper.
That is very, very important. Just like I say on this page, you got to keep the glass jars away from the box walls. If any part of that jar is touching the box, that's the part that's going to break.
Oh, Landi, tell me what's zooming.
Yeah, I don't know. Can you put me back to normal? And I promise I won't touch it again.
Yeah.
Give me back.
And
then
also
I
what
gotta-
I said
I got
is
to
if
keep
somebody
going
was
here
buying,
so that Pat can do his thing.
yeah,
You know,
and if
there's like
somebody was
too many
buying
of
it
us,
with
and we
for
all
a
like to
gift,
talk.
all right,
And I talk more than anybody.
you sure do.
Okay. All right. So you need a scale, right, to weigh your packages. Now, for me, this is easy. That's my soap scale. But you could probably use like a little kitchen scale. It doesn't have to be super precise. Just always, round up so that you're not getting too little postage, or have the post office come back and say you didn't pay enough in postage. Um, I always write a little note on my packing slips for my customers. Oh God, I did it again. I just can't touch it. Okay. And it can just be like, thank you, or stay well, or, whatever. I mean, some of them have been customers for so long that it's like they're my friends, and I ask how they are, and they, put little notes on their orders saying, hope you and your family are doing well. So it's kind of a cool thing. It feels like a family. So I know my weight. Now I can go and print my shipping label. Now, my website has built-in shipping. I don't know why it does that. I just I touch it and it zooms in.
Are you sliding two fingers up and down?
Now I am. Is that a good thing?
That's how you zoom in and out on a touchpad.
Huh. Okay. I don't know. Anyway. Okay. So I've got, my website has this built-in, I don't know if app or software. It links to a company called stamps.com, which provides discounted postage to merchants. But it's right on my Volution website. I go in there, I enter the weight of my package, I choose my shipping method, which I always choose priority mail. Priority mail is fast, and inexpensive. So and then I can then print out my label right from my web store, and I print it out on regular old paper. If you don't have that option on whatever site you choose for your web store, you can go to the U.S. Postal Service's Click and Ship. So, and I used to do that. And that's really easy too. The postage is a little bit more than this discounted stamps.com, but it's easy to do. You go right on the Postal Service website, you put in the weights, and you can print out your shipping label. So there's my label. I've just cut it right out of the paper and put it on the package and secured it with packing tape. So you don't need a special printer. You don't need an adhesive label. You can just do it like this, as long as it's clear packing tape and it's waterproof. So that's easy, and it works very, very well. There's only two things left to do here. First thing I have to do is I have to tell the post office that I've got a package that I want them to pick up. And this is another thing I love about shipping through the U.S. Postal Service. I don't have to drop this package off anywhere. I can put it right out there with the mail at my mailbox, and I don't even have to make a special trip if I don't want to. I just go do it when I pick up my own mail. So they will pick it up. And if you go on the Postal Service's website and click on schedule a pickup, you tell them the weight of the package, you tell them how many packages you have to pick up, and they will get it for you the following day. So that's great, and it's free. They don't charge anything for that. As I say here, I always give my mailman a jar of honey and a nice tip for the holidays, and we get excellent service. So that's the whole shipping thing. The last thing that I have to do is I have to enter this order on my accounting software. And when I record the payments from my Volution website, from PayPal actually, I will mark this invoice as paid. But if I don't put down that there's an invoice there that I, had an order and record it, then, this will get lost in the shuffle. So that's important. All right. It seems like a lot of trouble. Is it really worth it? Okay, well, remember like last month or a couple of months ago, we were talking about having your online, not online, your own sales venue. And a lot of people were amazed at how much honey gets sold out of our little honey house here. This year, it's been something like $7,000 a month. So I went and looked at the actual numbers. And so far this year through gooserockfarm.com, we've had online sales of $13,500. So if we prorate that over the course of the entire year, that's going to be nearly $16,000 in sales that are just online through the website. Everybody's wondering about postage and the shipping. So this is what I spent in shipping. I spent $1,849 in shipping so far, and we've charged $1,990 for postage and various shipping costs, materials also. So I'm about breaking even there, and I'm comfortable with that. I have to charge more for shipping than a company like Amazon, but I don't want to be charging outrageous prices for shipping. I don't want to be making a profit. I just want to break even. I want to cover my costs. And that's pretty much it. This is my son. I thought I had to put this picture in because I just had to. Because it was a great picture. All right.
You have questions.
Questions? More
Oh,
questions.
yeah. Oh, you're brewing up questions over here. I answered Megan. I believe that USPS should pick up just about anything you request them to. She wanted to know if they only pick up priority packages.
No, they'll pick up anything.
Right, yeah.
They'll pick up anything. They'll do returns, priority, they won't pick up a FedEx package, but they'll pick up anything shipped through you with U.S. Postal Service postage on it.
And it never, like Landi said, it never hurts to give your carrier and the local post office honey. They'll be your best friends then, and they'll bend over backwards.
Yes. Crinkle paper.
Staples for crinkle paper.
I use crinkle paper for gift baskets. Not shipping though.
If you're really cheap, you can take the brown paper that you get at like Michael's and run it through a shredder, and you'll get nice shredded brown paper that you can use for packaging and gift wrapping.
Yeah, I guess you could do that.
It looks surprisingly nice.
I'll bet. Eileen, I'll tell him Happy Veterans Day. It is tomorrow.
Okay.
Today's his birthday also.
What?
Today's his birthday also.
Today is not, Pat, why do you think today is his birthday?
It's every Marine's birthday. Oh, come on.
Not Adrian's birthday. I know
Yes,
when
look it
Adrian's
up.
birthday was. I did it.
Look it up. Look it up. When's the Marine Corps birthday? It's my brother's birthday. It's Adrian's birthday. It's my uncle's birthday.
Any other questions for Landi? Flat rate boxes, Landi. Do you use them? Love them, hate
They're
them?
expensive. Yeah, the flat rate that you pay in a flat rate box, the postage will cost you way more than if you just actually, pack up the box yourself and print it out. I mean, significantly more. And they're little. They don't, even the biggest ones don't hold very much. So I don't like flat rate boxes.
Dave,
It's
I'm going to assume that you're asking the time that it takes for Landi to get everything packaged and then out to her mailbox for pickup.
okay.
Okay.
I'm going to say an average order probably takes me 15 to 20 minutes. I did 2 of them today. One was fairly large, over $100 worth of products, maybe half a dozen jars of honey, and that, and the other one, which was like 3 jars of honey, altogether took me maybe 40 minutes. But I was doing other stuff in between too. Probably 15 minutes on the average. And I always do those first. So, I check my email in the morning and I pull any orders off. This year has been a lot of website traffic, a lot of web orders.
Do you charge extra for gift wrapping? Do you offer gift wrapping?
No.
Well, there you go, Eileen. You can't charge extra for something you don't sell.
I don't gift wrap. So, what I do though is people, if people are sending something as a gift, if they give me a different shipping address and person than the person placing the order, I assume it's a gift. So I won't put a packing slip in or anything like that. And oftentimes I'll email the customer and ask if they want a little card and a message. And they usually think that's very nice and say yes. And, I put in a nice little cute gift card.
And I'll also tack on to there, a lot of web stores will allow you the option of a comment section on
Yes.
purchase. I have that set up so that
Mine does too.
Yep. And that's a great way where every once in a while a customer may ask for something specific that you don't have or don't normally offer, and that it can make some people's day.
Yes.
Okay. Pat, I'm handing over to you to take us home.
You want me to answer Joseph's bottling tank, Joe?
Yeah. You want to turn off your camera, Landi?
Tank, a Maxant bottling tank.
Yeah, neither, Landi.
Okay, Pat, you're on.
You have my slideshow, right?
Yeah, you should have little arrows at the bottom of the slideshow now that are visible that you can click through.
Gotcha. All right. So, hello, I'm Pat Harrison. You guys all know me. Mostly do beekeeping services. I do sell honey, mostly wholesale, candles, all wholesale. And those people that I sell that honey to, I help them get more humans to know that I exist, and to get more humans to go out and buy my honey. Also, for the people that carry my honey, I'd like to support them and try to get them to get the general public to know about Healthway Food Store in Tenafly that carries Harvey honey, kind of thing. So I'm going to talk about that a little bit. The 4 main things that I'm going to talk about is how big do you really want. With advertisement, you can grow a little bit past your ability to do it. Your ability to actually supply that honey. I'm going to go and share my screen when I talk about Facebook and Instagram, and you'll see that they're really the same thing. They're owned by Facebook. Facebook owns Instagram, and that kind of thing. Inputs, we'll talk about that. So I'm breaking up. Justin, you're going to be monitoring the. Can you hear me, right?
I'll monitor the chat for you. You might want to try shutting off your webcam. Your internet is not fantastic.
Oh, it's not, definitely. All right, so let's see if that goes better. I read that you're breaking out. Like, oh my god, my skin's bad. Uh, and then
the problems of youth.
and then I'm gonna talk about like what it comes with more visibility. It was Justin kind of mentioned this, but if you put an ad out there, you really get what I'm about to talk about. So how big do you really want to be? With more visibility, all right. You have more sales, yes, and you're selling more. Then you're taking more time and to fill those orders, to buy that honey or to make that honey and all that kind of thing. And then you need more honey and candles that you must produce to supply those orders. So on this graph here, on the x-axis, I actually have number of hives with a 60-pound average honey divided by 12 per case, which is on the y-axis. So if you have, as you go up with number of hives, you go in up number of honey. So if you want to sell, which there was numbers on my y-axis, if you want to sell, what would be what would be 30 hives worth of honey, and you only have 10, you're going to be buying almost 60% of the honey that you're selling, and that's fine. There's people like me that has too much honey, and that's what the Harvey Side Hustle Project is, where I have a couple people in northern New Jersey that sell honey at self-service honey houses, kind of like Landi's, not as profitable. That they have 5 to 10 hives. They supply their honey, and then they also have my honey next to it at a bit of a discount. So their honey's $15 a pound. My honey is $11.50 a pound on the shelf. And when they run out of their own honey, they can still buy the local northern New Jersey honey, Harvey Beekeeping, but they always have a supply at their honey house, kind of thing. So talking about like how much you really want to, how big you want to be, and that's really important before you start this endeavor. Using Facebook, in this top right here is Facebook Marketplace. I'm not going to walk you through how to put something on Facebook Marketplace. It's kind of like a garage sale for anything and everything. They have a ton of different categories. They have all kinds of stuff. And this is when you put in honey, you find this 8 different jars, different brands that are out there. Honestly, I didn't know my honey was still on Facebook Marketplace. Nobody has contacted me recently. Facebook Marketplace is, so if you have one item for sale and like you're selling, you bought a new couch and you want to sell that couch, well, throw it on Facebook Marketplace and you can get rid of that couch. It's kind of the replacement for Craigslist. And then using Facebook, I kind of want to share my screen here. I just click what looks like a share screen. Yeah,
you should just go hit the button and then select what you want to share. I don't know how well it will work since you don't have a particularly strong connection.
It doesn't even want to. Tell me if you can see it.
Yes, we can see you now. Screen share has started.
Okay, so these are a couple posts that I've had in the past. Um, it tells me how many people that I've reached with this particular post. So I reached 6,000 people with this particular post. I reached 1,400 with this post. And I spent $105 boosting this post and $100 posting this one. And this is just the home screen. So this is what's called the Facebook Business Suite. And you can see here, it's kind of like where Facebook is merging all of it. And you got to think about it for a second. When you think of Facebook and you're just a member of Facebook, you don't pay to have a profile. The people that pay to have the people that pay Facebook, where Facebook gets their money, are businesses like Harvey and like Nike and Google and things that are paying for advertisement and things like that. So for me to kind of like go through and explain how to make posts, honestly, there's more tools probably. There's like a whole level of tutorials, and there's a help desk, and you can start a chat with somebody, all kinds of helpful things to help you make a post as a business when you finally do that. So I kind of want to make a post. So let's top right here, create a post. Harvey Beekeeping Facebook, Harvey Beekeeping Instagram, because I have both. I can click a photo, go to my photos, pick one, pick this bee with deformed wing virus, and deformed wing virus is what I'll caption it. All kinds of things. And then I can publish it now, or I can schedule it to be published. And this is the kind of thing where this is really why I wanted to go into this. I can publish a post right now, and this post about this deformed wing virus would go out right now, or I can schedule it for the 17th and the 24th or the 26th. I can go onto Facebook right now and do a month's worth of Facebook work in an hour or so. I can write 15 posts. I can write my posts two months out. And that's the real tool here. So I don't have to write my post I don't have to log on every Monday when I want to make a post. That's really what I'm looking at. So I actually don't have any scheduled posts scheduled because I'm behind on my Instagramming and my Facebooking. But like we got a really bad rainy day where I wasn't allowed to do bee work. I would go out and I would schedule 15 posts. I would just go through my Facebook photos or my photos that I have been taking when I'm working my bees, and schedule these posts. And that's the real tool here. So there's all kinds of tutorials for the non-tech savvy everybody to learn how to do that. And that kind of thing. Does that make sense to you guys? Where that scheduling thing is the most important part of it. If it makes sense to Landi, does that make sense?
Yeah. It's. I think it's actually really cool. But I'm just typing here. Is that only available like if you have a business account with Facebook, like if you actually pay for advertising?
It's only with business accounts, you don't have to pay for advertisement.
So you
so
can use their business suite without
yes,
buying ads.
exactly. So look at this slide here. Here are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 posts that I've posted. All I've scheduled probably. Okay.
Mm.
But see this one here with the bright orange bar?
Yeah,
I obviously bought an ad behind that one.
I see.
And the other 4 I didn't buy an ad.
Okay.
So I scheduled all these out, but then this one was probably doing particularly well. Or it was about my concierge service, which I'm trying to push a little bit more, and I put a little bit of money behind it.
Okay.
And so that kind of thing, and that's so yeah, you don't also an understanding of what a business page is, a regular page is, a group is, and a profile is. So, Adriana, you have a Facebook profile, okay? And you are a member of the group Essex County Beekeeping page, okay? So you're in that group. You don't necessarily like the Harvey Beekeeping page, and there's a group page, and all that under all that jargon is honestly not something that could be thrown at you in a presentation. It's a little bit of a you kind of have to understand. I don't know how to explain it.
You'd have to walk someone through it. There's with all
you
of these
would really have to hold
Yeah.
somebody's hand or read a book, kind of thing. So it's not going to happen in the 20-minute presentation, if you can understand that. So my next slide. So the inputs. I'd say there's 2 major inputs to advertising on Facebook. The first is time. Writing all of these posts, making all of these posts, taking the photo in the bee yard. So I have my camera on me when I'm working my bees. I can snap a picture of the queen, and I can take a picture of the brood and the queen here.
That's a beautiful queen.
Right? And so it's there's a time investment here. I'm slower at working my bees when it's a pretty day out, even though I should be a little bit quicker working my bees, because I might be taking a photo of a couple of queens. I do want to mention is that when you make the decision to become a more visible seller of honey and beekeeping products, your education kind of should be absorbed to you. Like you should take on that, take that on as a opportunity. It also kind of sells more honey. And then another point that I want to make here is that having candles doesn't necessarily make it's not the best seller. Landi would tell you that it's probably less than 10% of her sales. But I've found you talk about candles a little bit, and then you'll start to sell candles a lot more, especially this time of year leading up to Christmas, leading up to particular holidays. So there's different products that you would learn that would sell more with advertisement during a time of year that you would that you would perfect. It's kind of an art there. All right, so I thought I had a slide where I blew up Landi's frame of a nuke and one of these. So let's say I can't read this here. One of these.
One of these. Can zoom in on the image.
I did.
You can zoom in and then just drag your cursor around.
Okay. So here, a wrapped nuke. Everybody's reading this post here. Everybody in this presentation understands what Landi's saying. All right. The word nuke is what I want to focus on. And this is nothing against Landi. I think it's a great educational tool. The word nuke. All right. If I showed this post to my mom, she might understand it. All right. My dad's the other beekeeper in the family. If I showed this post to a friend, they wouldn't know what a nuke meant. They wouldn't have gotten what Goose Rock Farm is doing right now. So
that's why, Pat, that's why I added the word starter. I didn't just say wrapped up our nukes for the winter. I put wrapped up our nuke in quotes starter hives for the winter. So that tells people what they are.
yeah, but then like also what's a starter hive? Like all these kinds of things. If you distill like what the people know zero. Not people that is less than not knowing anything. You can know nothing and then you can know zero, and zero is less than nothing. And it's really true. And I feel like this post just it speaks to the person with beekeeping experience. And I'm excited for Goose Rock Farm for having all of their starter hives ready for winter. But I think there should be a post about how it should sell honey. We have all our nukes are wrapped up for winter. These starter hives will be ready to be replace any colonies that might not make it through the winter. So all 150 of our colonies will be making honey in April. Some garbage like that. I don't know. But just like understanding that people don't know anything. So I'm not saying that I'm better at this. I really need to like dumb down my own Facebook and Instagram posts. So like the queen of the hive is mother to all of the bees in the colony. That is such a basic sentence. And so that kind of thing. And that's just really what I wanted to point out on this post. Like, try to understand. Did I even try to sell honey in this post? This time of year, she's laying fewer eggs. The bees born now will be the ones that nurse worker bees that forage in the spring. So also, shame on me for not trying to sell honey in this post. I should have added, if you want to buy honey made this past spring, check out my web store here, and then insert link, and that kind of thing. And that's actually a real key point. I did have a post about my class. So like here's a link of harvey.net. So like if you want to learn more about the class that I'm teaching, click on this. And if you were to be on Facebook at the time, this hand that I have, this cursor that I have, like it's a red dot view, it would click and it would open a separate link. It would open my webpage. Zoom out nice and slow. So the main part here is to really invest a bit of time on the content that you're putting out there. There's a lot of Justin, you monitoring the chat?
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right. All right, good. All right, fine. So yeah, just what the point that I'm making here is understand your audience. Always try to be selling honey even in educational post. Yeah, and constant posts, trying to stay on top of the management. If you have a post about spring management now, you're only gonna get confused people. So I'm actually posting photos now that I took last fall, just because I have them, and that kind of thing. So the other input is money. So actually visualizing what and how much money you're putting behind the ads you're putting out on Facebook. In this pie graph here is $5.83. That represents the cost of making honey or the cost of buying honey. I figured $5.83 because that's what I sell it for if you were to buy honey from me. And then if you were to resell it for $11.50. This blue here, most companies put 6% of their total revenue towards advertisement to get the next customer. And if it's an $11.50 jar of honey, that's 69 cents towards advertisement. So you're really only making about $5. Sales tax, honey is not taxed in the state of New Jersey, so you're not worrying about sales tax there. It's a food product. Your income is your income tax in the pile. So yeah, income tax is at the end of it all. If I were to buy 1,000 supers, I can still run that's overall. That's the overall. My income tax is my overall what's it called? Income year to year. This is for the jar of honey. So I guess that would also fall into the red. It should cost you less than $5.83 to make the honey, at least, to be a profitable business kind of thing. And then with a candle, this is purely if you were to buy the candle and then resell it. This income tax question or sales tax, this is not figured in because you should be adding the 7% sales tax onto $15. So it's actually the sticker price or what the receipt price is larger than $15 when you sell a candle. But if you were to buy a candle for $10.74, put 90 cents of advertisement behind it, you're really only making $3.36. And those are not bad margins if you were running a retail store. It's about 30%, if not more, in margin wise. So, and that's what most grocery stores, retail stores are making when they're purchasing from wholesalers. So that kind of thing. So time and money. Honestly, depending on your goals, is your goal to really supplement your income and make money, or is it just to have a hobby that pays for itself? Is what really becomes more important, the time or the money? Those are just personal questions that you need to ask yourself. For me, it was both. So I asked these questions with different pie graphs and different stuff and different margins, and I came up with what I do. And then I'm making these graphs based on what you can do if you were to regurgitate what I have. So Justin kind of touched on this, but he didn't talk about it enough. What comes with more visibility? You put an ad out on Facebook, and everybody's grandfather or uncle was a beekeeper and writes you a book on the comments, or asks a million questions, or you were foolish enough to put your cell phone number on the back of your jars. That's what I did.
Oh God.
So there's a ton of different things that could happen. So you're gonna get asked questions about your definition of raw, organic, local. So local, starting with local, the northern temperate deciduous forest of northern New Jersey is all the same relatively. So Bergen County and Blairstown all have the same main nectar sources. If I were to go 100 miles south into South Jersey, you would change ecosystems. You would go into the Pine Barrens. It's a different ecosystem ecologically. If I were to go 100 miles north into New York, it's almost the same ecologically. So that's kind of how I defined local, the same ecosystem. And that's all the honey that I sell is local with that definition. Organic, everybody wants to know about organic. I have some photos. I'm going to talk about that in a second. Raw. So it's never heated past 105 degrees because that's about what's the temperature of a hive. And you need to make your honey flow to get it into the jar in the first place. So having quick, talking points about that. This is smaller. Also, about honey. Oh, okay. So this is just, sorry, it was edited. So wanted to talk about organic. This is kind of blurry now. So talking about organic, there's no organic honey produced in New Jersey. Probably not produced in North America. If Megan's here, she can probably comment on that. But that's what I tell people. And my defense of it is organic doesn't mean sustainable, and sustainable doesn't necessarily need to be organic. Least toxic approach, the IPM method, and explaining to people that the goal is to have a sustaining bee population. The least amount of inputs is the goal of what your bees are for, and buying the honey by buying a jar of honey, you're funding programs like sustainable beekeeping. That's my spiel. Funding the sustainable beekeeping in New Jersey. This is a photo of sick bees. You look at them, they kind of look like they're just I took a can of PAM spray and I sprayed them. It just got a little spray on them. If you guys can see that, there's just a
virus.
It's something like that. This was actually the O'Brien yard. So I think 3 out of 7 hives in this bee yard had this. we hit them with either oxalic acid or Apivar, and it tended to clear them up. All the hives, let's say that we hit them with Apivar. All the hives seemed to survive. All the hives did survive, and we definitely did hit them with Apivar. And I don't think they would have survived if we didn't do something as, you know, straightforward and effective as Apivar. So organic doesn't even mean humane. Sometimes you can be hard on the bees. You can have more bees die if you're trying to hold yourself to you make more honey that way. I have this photo here. If you start to sell candles, this is where beeswax come from. This photo is a gem. This is a bee secreting wax. It has sold more candles than you would be surprised. Amazing. Love it. So yeah, this is a bee secreting wax. So like to be able to talk about things like this are absolutes and really needed. All right, so all right. I don't know where I'm at because this has changed.
Looks like you have 3 slides with just different pictures. And just a heads up, we're definitely over on time.
Yeah. So all right. So I'm just gonna go through the pictures because I don't know what the text is anymore. So cutouts. Here you're gonna get, if you put out an ad, then you're now somebody's beekeeper, and you're gonna get a call for a cutout. If you're not somebody that does cutouts, have somebody that does do cutouts in your address book. I don't do cutouts, but I refer people to the guy that does them, kind of thing. Well, Honeybee 911s. This is a customer that had not set up a bear fence and had their hives knocked over. And so because I was this person's beekeeper, because they bought a jar of honey, they they called me out to help them. So you'll be the first person in their address book. If you are their beekeeper with more honey sales, you're gonna get more calls. Landi probably gets 1,000 more than me. I got bees on the logs of my house. They're everywhere. And they'll send me a photo. What are you actually dealing with? All right, you're dealing with a wet log. Bees are foraging for water, and things like that. Talking people down from what they're looking at, kind of thing. And that's what this photo is. I got bees on the tree limb of, I have I have a swarm of bees on the branch of my tree. If you were to be on the phone with somebody, you'd say, all right, that sounds like a swarm of bees, correct? Well, this is a bald-faced hornet nest, which you're definitely not going to deal with. So have an exterminator to be able to refer them to in your address book. Some exterminators actually, being a beekeeper, would throw you a couple bones. My exterminator that I refer to people to gives me $25 every time that they do a job, or I refer them to a job and they do that job. I get $25.
Nice.
So I give my bald-faced hornet nests to those people. I had an exterminator call me and said, this person has honeybees, and I won't spray them. Well, look at them. It's not honeybees. So even an exterminator sometimes doesn't know what they're talking about. And because I was a high rating Google search, this exterminator gave this customer me. I referred them to a good exterminator kind of, but and that kind of thing. I got honeybees in my house. They're yellow. They're fuzzy. Okay, that's not fuzzy. And they're going in and out. Well, what I just said would say honeybees, definitely. Well, send me a photo. Well, there's some kind of wasps. Back to the exterminator. This was actually a couple weeks ago, maybe even last week. I got honeybees at the airport on a tree limb. They're definitely honeybees. I know what honeybees are. Well, it's November. I'm not believing this guy. I didn't believe this guy. I was like, all right, send me a photo because they're probably not honeybees. Well, this is the photo he sends me. And those sure are honeybees, which, frankly, these honeybees are going to die because they're on a tree limb in November. I had somebody, I told somebody about it. They got it, and they're going to attempt to save this colony of bees. But all different kinds of calls that you would get to be, be warned. So that's me. That's me and what I do, and my email at Harvey. Does anybody have questions? Hot knife. I don't use a hot knife. I use a chain flailer made by Maxand.
Hey, Pat, Jim Plini on the line. Appreciate the presentation. My question is actually to all the presenters, and let me just thank everybody it was really helpful. And I'm not in a situation where I'm going to be selling online or anything like that, but just like a lot of us, I'm sure, once you get to 3 or 4 hives and you start giving honey away, people want to start buying it, friends of friends, that kind of thing. And one of the quandaries I have is two things, right? One is I assume everybody's everybody's set up as an LLC, I imagine.
Yes.
So maybe you could talk about that.
Yes.
But also,
No.
all right, well, but we could talk about that. But so let me just get my other question out. So that's one question. The other question is, like, you think about everyone's so litigious these days with liability insurance, where let's say somebody has 100 pounds of honey, they're going to sell at $12 a pound. It's $1,200. If you now have to buy liability insurance for $500 a year, like, is it really worth this whole venture? And like, are people in touch with insurance policies that are reasonable, or like sliding scale for someone who's not a large producer that's only selling a couple hundred pounds? Can they get a better deal on liability insurance versus somebody selling thousands of pounds? So I appreciate you guys considering those questions. Just something I struggle with sometimes.
Okay, Jim, first off, I am an LLC, and as you might imagine, I have liability insurance. The person to answer this question is really our president, Mike Fry, who is a farm family agent. As far as I know, there is no sliding scale for smaller producers. If you buy liability insurance, you're buying the whole package, and it's I get a somewhat discounted rate on insurance because Farm Family carries all my insurance. They have my homeowners, they have all of my automobiles, and they have the business policy as well. So because everything, it's a whole package, it's somewhat less. But insurance,
So
it's a real issue.
I
it's a concern.
I actually had a different experience with it, which is in the last time I spoke to a rep, the premium is determined by your annual profit. In the policy that I had, they did not care about the number of colonies. All they cared about was how much you were making each year and on what product. So I'm much smaller than Landi and Pat because I don't do this for a living. I'm a sole proprietorship, makes taxes super easy. And as far as liability insurance goes, because I'm not selling a ton, it only comes out to a few $100 a year. And in proportion to my sales, it's nominal.
Pat,
Um,
Justin, who's your carrier?
It's Farm Family. I just don't. Mike is in a different state from me,
In New York. Yeah,
and
that could be it.
right when I spoke to them, they were really concerned with just what was the product you were selling and the amount of it. They didn't really care about the bees or anything else. All they cared about was profit and product.
I've also heard too that it's hard to get insurance or harder to get insurance if you're selling candles. That soap and honey is not a problem, but I guess the fire liability associated with candles makes it hard with some carriers.
There are weird policies for certain products. In fact, wool is considered a higher risk product for some reason. That's going to all depend on your carrier. I believe there's a slightly higher premium with something like a candle.
So the person that I'm using charges me arm and a leg. I was actually looking into it this week about the policy that I use is mostly for my honey sales, and it covers that honey sales. But I feel like my most vulnerable liability is my actual management of hives. I keep a lot of hives in suburban and urban areas for people. So if that neighbor gets stung and that kind of thing happens, how am I liable? And that's the crap that I'm worried about. But I'm spending almost $44 a month. And that's what I'm billed for. Top Duke Farm Family, somebody need closure. I'm not sure, so I'm not going to answer it because I'm unhappy with what I'm using.
Vin asked, and does anyone know of a beekeeper who has ever sued over the sale of their honey? I don't know of anyone.
I don't either. And I'm looking at Joe's question. Joe's asking, please speak to the subject of the food safety regulations which you must fulfill should you sell online or wholesale. And I don't know that those regulations are any different from selling retail in your backyard. You have to, you basically have to package your product in accordance with state and federal regulations. They're different for honey than they are for many other food products. Dairy products, for instance, have to be held at a certain temperature. Honey just has to not be adulterated, and it has to have the correct water content. So, you have to have a clean facility to bottle it. And you need to keep your moisture content below 18.5%, basically. But there's not really much else. If you're going to go to a farmer's market, they will require a health department certification, which you get from your local town. But I don't think there's anything extra that you have to do if you're selling wholesale or online. It's honey.
When I looked into it, that's what I came up with also.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then what you can do, which is what a lot of these sites and e-commerce stores offer, is you can add a return policy or a purchase policy. And so, like, I have written in my own return policy something along the lines of, honey naturally contains botulism. Like, what you're buying is there's no cloak and dagger. And that and liability insurance goes a long way.
Yeah.
Adrian, you have questions about my pie graphs? Understand them. Make it sequel. So.
I think we're good. I'm ready to turn into a pumpkin.
All right. Adriana, feel free to email me. Yep.
Okay, thanks, guys.
Thank you all.
You make it a good night, Justin.
No,
Sorry I was
you
late.
Yes.
Sorry I was late, everybody.
second
It was my grandma's 80th birthday, and I took her
Yay.
out to dinner. But I was allowed to be late. So I'm sorry I was late.
We'll let you be a little bit late for grandma.
yeah, exactly. You know.
Good night, everyone.
Good night,
night.
everyone. Thank you. Miss you guys.